StarCHaser Central, a podcast about Charles Hamilton, music, moments, and everything in between. I'm Steve Braxton.
And I am Mike D. Jackson.
Mike, I think we're having a first here today.
That is correct, Stick. Ladies and gentlemen, we officially have our first guest, Star Chaser wise. Um, but let me not do too much. Sir, introduce yourself. Who are you? And let us know about you a little bit.
What up, gang? I'm Leslie Julien, longtime StarCHaser. Just random person on the internet that loves the pod and happy to be on here, man.
You have the distinction, man, of being the first StarCHaser guest. Um, speech, man, speech.
Yeah, I mean, y'all just draw me in. I think I kind of stumbled on off of like a Reddit post, like, hey, there's a Charles Hamilton podcast. Like, what? Are you serious? Like, Charles, like I said, I'm a long time StarCHaser. I've been listening to Charles since I want to say like around when I heard like Windows Media Player or something like that. Like I just heard that around. It's like it's kind of weird and just kind of grew on you. I think it was around like '08 or so. I got into Charles. But yeah, so like I've been listening to Charles off and on throughout the years, and but always eventually come back. And it's like the podcast just like really again just give me another appreciation for CHS music, and yeah, just happy to get a chance to dive back into his discography. So yeah, it's been dope, and I'm glad to be the first person to successfully connect with y'all.
It's crazy because I remember when me and Stick first started the podcast. I don't know what episode we were on, but Stick was the one that actually found what happened with that Reddit post saying, "Hey man,
Mm,
people are posting about us." So for whoever did that, thank you. And also thank you, Les, for coming onto the show today and with everyone else just keeping Charles's name alive, you know what I mean, throughout the music, throughout just conversation, anything. So
yeah,
big ups to you too.
I love to see the love, man. So yes, it's great to be a part of this.
You brought us the tape that we are reviewing today, man. We reviewed the first one like real early in our pod days, and we are now doing the sequel. We are reviewing Sonic the Hamilton 2 HD.
Yeah, excited for this one.
Yes, sir. STH2. Let me get the full name because
Mhm.
all right, Sonic the Hamilton 2 HD, The Scroll of Beethoven and Machiavelli, which is the full title, which I'm like, God damn,
That's a mouthful.
it is. This tape came out September of 2010. I seen a post where it said like between the 11th and 12th, you know what I mean? Never forget. Um, yeah, we're finally at part two. We've been actually waiting to do a Sonic the Hamilton tape for a while. What made you want to pick this tape? I know you had some options. What made you actually want to go with this one officially?
So honestly, like y'all have been doing such a thorough job. Like we're honestly started run out of tapes that I like really am familiar with. So it's like this is probably one of the last tapes I really have like a strong impression on. I was like, so let's yo, like if I had a chance, I wanted to hit this one up for sure.
Now, now we said 2010. You said you started in 2008 as far as Windows Media Player. Do you remember how
Mhm.
you actually stumbled upon Charles and maybe this tape in general?
Uh, I feel like just like the blog era, whatnot. Like I think it was probably two dope boys that posted something at Charles and I was like, okay, like this guy's a little different. And but I kind of like found a way, like because there's so much music coming us at that time, like I kind of found a way, and it's like, okay, that was dope, but whatever. And then something else popped up. I can't remember which track it was, but another track came on. What's the one where he's rapping over? Was it Marble Hill Zone?
November 10th.
Yeah, November 10th. So I
Yeah.
heard it, and I was like, oh, okay, like yeah, this dude's doing some music, and so I just started following Charles after that, like I said, and I think that was either I want to say it was a little bit before the Hamiltonization process started, but my memory could be a little off. But after that, I was like, I was deep diving, I was like all invested, I was all in. And fast forward a couple of years to this tape, like obviously by that time, 2010, like a lot of things different for Charles. He wasn't with the label anymore. And I think this was one of the first tapes I was like, if it wasn't the first, at least the one was like, I'm not sure, quite sure how I feel about this tape because this is definitely different compared to like his previous stuff. Like so this tape is definitely Charles pushing the box a little bit and doing some different stuff. And I think we'll get into it, but he definitely does some different stuff with that one, which I can appreciate, and also kind of gives you some time to think for sure.
Mike, do you remember your first time watching it, listening to this?
Yeah, I do. When this tape came out, it was one of those things where I remember hearing the first STH and being like, okay, yeah, I'm rocking with this, you know. So when the second one came out, I'm like, okay, we finally get a part two. All right, let me hear how it goes. The first listen, if I remember, like I wasn't feeling it that much. Like there's certain songs I did like, but I'm just like, this is such a departure from the first one. Kind of like what Les said. I'm like, man, I don't know. There's a few songs I would go back to, but I normally wouldn't go back to this tape, to be honest. Like I was like maybe like two songs I think I would probably listen to maybe, but that's it. Like I wasn't really a big fan of this one.
Yeah, I think I was on the same boat. I think again with with Charles's up and down roller coaster as far as like the label and like the this perfect life getting shelved, and then the way that came out, I was kind of hoping and grasping for like where's the consistency again, and then we get to this and I'm like, okay, Sonic the Hamilton, this is my first tape that I ever listened to, so now I'm getting the sequel. I'm excited. I get there, and like Les was saying, it was just such a departure from what we were used to that I think I wasn't necessarily open to listening multiple times. I think I gave it that first listen, and even then, it might not have been like a full listen, but yeah, I was not thoroughly impressed with what I was given. So today's a great time to just it was a good time to go back, re-listen a couple of times to see where he might have hit made his mark at, and where I was probably, cautious about when I was listening first time.
Yeah, definitely. And it's one of those things where it just you look at the cover, you look at the back, and then just everything is just so like Charles has always been, out of left field, but like this is like I think for some people, this area of music, like he's really going left field, and you're like, what's going on? You know what I mean? Like, is it me or is it him? And
Yeah.
I mean, this is why we have the podcast, so we can kind of really figure out, hey man, like maybe we were too harsh because we're so many years removed now. So it's going to be interesting to see what we all rated. So
Yeah, so we're gonna do one of our tried and true tests over here, and we're gonna do our best of and our Mr. Marks. Because we have less on today, we're gonna reduce our number to two per person. Um, but yeah, we'll do two for the best of, and two that maybe missed a mark. First, before we get into that, I would like to talk about the cover. Mike brought it up just now. Les, what did you think of this cover, and maybe kind of compare it to the original Sonic the Hamilton cover, and how you think that they compare?
So I like this cover a lot. It's clean, it's simple. You just got this black and white or like this kind of muted Sonic with the ring on. So I was like, okay, like this is kind of fitting with his old kind of aesthetic and everything. I can't quite remember the timeline of like uh when this came around. I say like 2010, but like I'm not sure if this like said like way out when like he started kind of changing his sound a little bit. But like I like the cover. I was like, okay, like this looks like feels like a sequel, like a proper sequel. And obviously the audio is a little different, but like no, just aesthetically from that aspect, approaching that way, it's like okay, like this looks like something that fits in that standard Charles wheelhouse.
real quick, I wanted to give a shout out to Donnie Black. Stick, I told you about this 2023. This guy actually was the one that said he's the one that made the cover to STH2.
Oh,
So he had a post where he kind of explained, how he created it. And I'm like, okay, so I want to give a shout out to him. I don't know if he actually watches it or not, but I do remember on TikTok, I did tell him, like, it's a dope cover. You're a legend for it. You know what I mean? Because that's not everyone knows everyone that has made art cover for Charles and whatnot. Because we know Charles will like come up with something random, and then some StarCHaser will be like, "Hey, I actually do art. I do graphic design. I do blah blah blah. Like, let me make an art cover for you." And then here we are. So shout out to Donnie. And for me, it's I'm cool with it. Sometimes it doesn't have to be all crazy compared to some of the alternative covers I've seen. 'Cause I know there's one where it's kind of like Sonic 2, where but they have Charles in the middle instead of
Hmm.
it being like Sonic in the middle, like the game. And I remember people were trying to sell that on a t-shirt because they wanted that as a shirt. And then I think Charles could have gotten in trouble for that because obviously, Sega, whatever. So,
Mhm.
but I do remember people wanting that alternate cover as a t-shirt.
Yeah. Well, would Sega have gotten? I think it would have been Nintendo. You know, Nintendo does not play them
They don't
games.
play. Nope.
No.
They they are quick to hit you with a strike. I think this is probably one of the best covers that's ever been done. Like, take away the music portion of it. This is a very, like, let's say, very clean cover. I like the way it looks. You know, when you add the HD portion, it really does kind of look like a high definition version of Sonic. And again, with the shadowy thing and having the ring like kind of illuminate the picture, like that's really what's showing the light of the picture. I think it's an amazing cover. Um, so shout out to Dying Black for that one. It's really good. Like I said, one of the best that I can remember that I've seen. Just away from the music. Um, but yeah, let's get into it, man. Let's do our best of two. I think we should let our esteemed guests start off. What do you think, Mike?
Of course, it's one of those things where I would rather Les go first because I would hate if we pick one of his favorite songs and then he can't explain it as, how he wants to do it. So
Yeah,
if you're ready, Les, take it away, man.
Yeah. It was actually tough. Picking a favorite. Like listen, try to remember how I remember felt about it back then versus now. Like I feel like I've gone like all over the place in terms of like how I feel about this tape. Like I said, like back then, like I was like, and now like even listening to it now, it's like I listened to it a month ago and I was kind of down on it, but listening to it like just this past week and ready for things, I was like, this tape is I think I'm feeling a little bit more fond about this tape than I recall. So I'm gonna say my first favorite I'm going to that I remember like I used to listen to all the time. Like I used to like go to sleep to this track because I loved it so much. Is Sonic versus Def Egg.
Now I'm right back on it, and these niggas make me vomit. And I swear if it wasn't natural, I would not have to do it or call upon it. But now you see my name is in the lights. I'm famous, and tonight I'm just bringing the pain onto the mic. And since the pain don't wanna fight or right back, the brain is what I gotta write with, so fight it. And if you wanna fight it, despite the fact it fought itself back, it talks to help it. And if you wanna help it, in fact, you can go ahead and say the word. You can smack this nigga stupid in the herd. What was that? Apparently he's stupid in the hood. Must have heard.
That's the one where we got the Life is a Bitch sample with Nas. And yeah, it's just really smooth mixed with the Sonic sounds as well. Like I just love like the aesthetic of that one so much. Like it's smooth as hell. Like it's almost like like Nas made a Sonic track or Charles made a Nas song. I just really love how smooth it is. And there's what's it it's he's just effortless. His flows on that track are like super super effortless. Like he's really in the pocket with that one. So that's when that really stands out to me as a favorite. Yeah, my second favorite, I'm gonna go with, and that was really hard too, but I'm gonna say uh, Meets a Gothic Mathematician.
okay.
So that's the is that like the third track?
That's the third one. It's like the rock song.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the rock song. That one, yeah. For me, the vocal effect on the hook is like I love that. And the verses are just like all like for me, like standouts, like just really fun verses. The first standout song for me on the mixtape. Like the first two were good, but like that one's really like okay, like I see what you're doing. And then I wish the guitar was like a little bit less shrill, but like I just always have liked that song personally.
I will say the deaf. These titles are crazy. I'm not going. I had to pull the track list. I'm not even gonna hold you.
Hey,
Uh,
hey, real quick, did you want me to I could wait to do it, but do you want me to read off because I still have the picture with all the names on them.
yeah, bro. I had to pull it up because I'm like, this is ridiculous. Um, you want to just read the whole thing? That way we can actually.
Yes.
Because I'm gonna ask about the story in a minute, like just
Okay.
what we think it is.
All right, I got you. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is the track listing. I'm going to read this all off. So, when you hear a pause, that means I'm going to the next track. So, starting from the beginning, Sonic the Hamilton walks into Cosmic Library Zone, where he meets a Gothic mathematician. He grabs her and runs into the aisle of sheet music, where she gets to witness him battle Cosmic Library Zone Act 1 boss Side Chick. Side Chick sends a side beam to Sonic, throwing him from Cosmic Library Zone to Spring Yard Zone. Sonic won. While stuck in Side Chick's side beam, Sonic bumps into Mega Man, causing moment of tension. Now here's where it gets tricky, y'all. So we're on track 8 right now.
Mm-hmm.
Sonic uses a spring and ring power to go from Cosmic Library Zone. Oops, sorry. Let me try that again. Sonic uses the spring and ring power to go from Spring Yard Zone to Oil Ocean Zone, where he fights Cosmic Library Zone Act 2 boss BP Gassinet. After defeating BP Gassinet, he has an altercation with Mega Man. Sonic uses a spring and ring power to go from Spring Yard Zone to Oil Ocean Zone, where he fights Cosmic Library Zone Act 2 boss BP Gassinet. In case you're wondering, yes, I just repeated the same thing. 8 and 10 have the same name. They're not the same song, though. Continuing, Sonic and Mega Man rounds 1 through 3, because Sonic believes Mega Man is Metal Sonic. Near death, he joins forces with Capcom, ending his 17-year relationship with Sega. Sonic versus Death Egg, when Sonic closes his eyes to sleep for the night. And that is the entire track listing.
We're gonna get into this at a later time. Let's kind of discuss Les's choices. Death. I see even now.
Sonic versus Death. So that's like one of the easiest ones. Sonic.
I know
versus
it's so short, but like it's the percentages and shit that's
The
around it.
percentages, yeah.
Sonic versus Death Egg. I'll say this: when it comes to the rapping on this tape, this is probably the best rapping that's on the tape. Like effortless, like you said, really just almost like a stream of consciousness where he's going and it feels like he's just flowing with no stoppages.
Yeah.
Even if he's freestyling this is probably the best version of that. At first I was a little bit apprehensive, but then when you really bunker down and listen to the raps, it's really good. So I was a fan of that track. I actually kind of bumped that up after a couple of listens.
Mhm.
I will say for Meets a Gothic Mathematician, it's okay. It's one of those things where like it's there. But I will say like the early portion of the tape is not my favorite. I think things pick up for me more like in the middle. So while it's not I don't have it as a, Mr. Mark track or like a track that I wouldn't listen to. It is one of those ones where it's like, it's just there for me. So it doesn't really do too much for me. Mike, what about you?
All right, so actually my favorite has always been Sonic versus Death Egg. So that's why I'm glad that we got
Nice.
Les to go first, you know what I mean? But I don't know why it's always been my favorite. Like I'm talking about from the beginning, even when first hearing this project.
Mhm.
I think for me, sometimes I've always just been a sucker for like simple loop beats where like you're not doing too much with it. It's a simple beat that's looped for like 5 minutes, just rap on it. You know what I mean? And like y'all said, Charles is just doing a stream of consciousness, just rapping. He might mess up and he flubs, but then he just keeps going. Sometimes I'm okay with that. And sometimes you hear me not being okay with it. But this is one of the ones where I'm like, I really like this beat, whatever. So I'm cool with it. With Gothic Mathematician, I feel like this is very on brand for Charles when he does like those rock songs. I know not every StarCHaser is a fan of it, but I like it. I really do. It has that alternative feel that I feel that a lot of people, if they don't really listen to like rock rap, like they could probably get a little bit more into this. It has that kind of like, hey, it's a mix of rap, it's a mix of rock, but like something that people can get behind. So I like both of those options.
You want me to go, Mike, or would you like to step up next?
I'll go next. So two songs that I would say that I would like to choose. Uh, First, I'm going to go with, let me get the actual name for this song. Uh, I think this was number 7, while stuck in Side Chick Side Beam.
Hmm.
With that one, so it's crazy because when I hear that song, um, it doesn't even sound like it's supposed to be on here. Like when I re-listen to this, I don't even remember the song being on this project. I'm like, really? And the feel that it has, because Charles has like that freestyle element to some of his songs. And this one, I'm like, you know what? This reminds me more of something I would have heard on like 10 Things. Like it has like a flow on it and the beat on it, and he sampled Austin Powers and like how he was rapping,
Oh
like
yeah,
he
yeah.
was just going off on it. You know what I mean? The beat was dope, flow was dope. It doesn't sound freestyle, but this definitely sounds like something I would have heard on 10 Things. Like maybe since he couldn't put 10 Things or whatever on here, so he's like, you know what? I gotta leave this on another project. So, but also the Chill Fam
Yeah.
so it's a cool hook. Um,
I have no swag, I have characteristics. Most of you characters miss it. Like character select from a distance. In the game, these niggas can't kick shit. Not at all. Like Tekken or Marvel vs. Capcom. Pounds to my nigga for reppin'. But y'all ain't my brethren. Matter of fact, y'all should just keep stepping before you get to finish him in a fatality. All these rappers all say they battle me. What's your name? Where do you work? Your store closed.
if my second song, I'll say the actual first Sonic uses Spring and Ring, that one number 8. So those are like back to back. I could be wrong. I want to say that sample was from like Sonic 3, whatever. It reminds me, I think it was like from the competition mode, like when you're trying to choose your character or something. I could be wrong.
Mhm.
But anyway, it's a nice flip. You know, I know it's from Sonic, but it's a nice flip. It's a dope flow. Charles, it was like it's kind of a hard beat that he had, but he was going smooth on it. I feel like this is a underrated song from this project, so it's one of my newer favorites, and I'd say my underrated pick for the tape.
Okay. I will say now you mentioned again these names, bro. I swear. Um,
I just call the first ones Stuck in a Side Beam
that's
or
fine.
Yeah.
Chill Fam Tana.
Yeah.
So
Chill
stuck,
Pantana.
so stuck in a side beam. When I heard it, I'm like you. I was like, this is on here because I remember it from being on For Your Locker, that 3-song mixtape that came out,
Mm,
and it's actually called Fantana on there. Now I don't know the timeline of that. I don't know if that came first or it came after, but it is interesting that that is on there. So when I heard, it, I was like, oh yeah, another song that I actually like. So I was actually excited to hear about that. And like you said, Mike, it doesn't sound like it should be on here because I don't know how it actually fits with
mhm.
what we're doing with STH2. But take away trying to and blend it in the story, it's a good song. I really like that song. Um, and yeah, the first spring track number 8, I did like that one. I like that one a lot, especially in comparison to the other one. Like I said, the Sonic, we'll talk about it, but the production here, at least the beat wise, is very good. I like what he does with a lot of the beats here. Now we can talk about how they sound, and we'll get to that. But the beats are they're inviting, they're fun. They fill you with that nostalgia that you got when you first heard Sonic the Hamilton, and that I think that's what really drew a lot of us in was that here's this guy that like that likes Sonic and is now taking those songs and made beats out of them and then rapped over them and you still get that vibe here with this, and especially tracks like these. So I like both of those. Both good picks. They were both on my choice too, Mike. Les, what do you think about those two?
Yeah, I like those. The first one, Side Check. I like that one. It was a little goofy. Actually, it kind of gave me like a very slight like Gaucho's vibe almost. But like you said,
Ooh,
it definitely feels like it doesn't quite fit on here, but it is a fun track. It's just like, that hook is like mimetic, like it's just fun to say chill Fantana or whatever,
yeah.
But yeah, it was one I liked. And the second one was actually on my short list, so to be a favorite. So
Okay.
yeah, Sonic Uses a Spring. I really like that one. Was it the hook is really dope on there. You know, yeah, it's just like that beat just delivers. I really like that beat, especially. So yeah, those are good picks.
Um, Now for me, I have two. One that was the one that I liked originally, because again, when I listened to this, it was one of those things where I was like, it wasn't even like hurt. It was like that disappointment where I was like, I was really excited and I just left disappointed. So I don't remember a lot of the tracks here, but there was one in particular that I definitely remember. The first being Sidechick Sends a Side Beam. I think that's Sonic is sample Sonic Advance 3. And here's the thing about this track that's weird to me is that the freestyling thing that normally I would not enjoy as much, and you can definitely tell that he does it here. For whatever reason, I liked it, and I can't tell if it's because the beat kind of carries, and I'm able to kind of let it glide over, or if it's I'm enjoying what he's saying. And it's kind of a confusing thing to think of, but it's the one track that I would always go back to. Um, I will say now that I've listened to this tape a little bit more, it's definitely slid down, but you've all chosen the other ones that I liked. So I'm gonna go with this one as one of them. But my new favorite is Near Death.
But damn, you don't hear it, gotta get going. This song, shit strong. I don't know what's going on, but I can't sit for long. This nigga must have hit the bomb. And then got a different wrong. This ain't the kind of shit the kid is on. But listen to me spit, come on. You gotta get with what you're listening to, with your quick wit. Please don't keep a distance or keep a distance from what you listen to.
That beat I think is fantastic. I think what he's doing with it sounds like a legit song. The hook is different, but it's still nice. It has like a kind of like a I wouldn't even call it like an R&B, but kind of like a singy R&B type of vibe to it a little bit. But that beat is so crazy. I love that beat so much.
Yeah.
And Charles doesn't overdo any things where it would drag it down. And yeah, this is one that I'm probably gonna play this right after this because I was really pleasantly surprised. This is probably my surprise pick of the tape, just because again it would be something I would like. I like it now, but I don't know if I would liked it back then. So yeah, those are my two.
So with Side Chick Sends a Side Beam, if it was just me and you doing this tape, that would have been like my third pick because that was
Got
the
it.
other song I normally would go with. So that's why I'm glad I didn't use it. Yeah, number one, anytime I feel the same way you do because like I always liked that song before, but I'm like I don't know how much I like it because of biases. I'm like he's rapping on basically a Green Hill flip, you know what I mean? Green Hill Zone flip, you know what I mean? And most of the time, if I hear something that's recognizable because of nostalgia, I'll be like, I'm gonna let you slide. I'm gonna just let you slide, you know what I mean? But listen, rapping on video game beats is sometimes a cheat code. Um, I think now I feel the same way you do, where like I don't like it as much. I still do like the song.
Mhm.
The verses are okay overall, but I do think the beat carries, you know. So but overall it's still one of my favorites. So and then you said with Near Death, it's a smooth beat. I feel like it's something you could ride to in the car. The singing on the hook is acceptable. We've talked about this before with Charles B singing. But it fits the track. I'm cool with the singing on this song because it fits the track. Charles isn't like going overboard or trying to like, go in some type of different direction. He's singing with the track, and I think that's just what he needs to do. Go with the track, go with what it's telling you. Not against it. The flow is nice, and it's somewhat of a stream-like type of song, whatever. So that's how I feel about those two songs. They're both good songs.
I'm gonna say I'm gonna be the outlier. Side Check, I actually wasn't a big fan of personally. So let's say on that one. Yeah, like this, the loop is great, and I like Tails on there too. But for me, like if I get the right one, I think so. Side Check sends a side beam, right?
Yep.
Yeah, the Sonic flip,
Yeah,
the
so
Green Hill flip.
yeah, the Green Hill flip. Yeah, so the loop is great, but like for me, the stumbles, I feel like I noticed more stumbles than other songs where he's freestyling. So that one I didn't like too much. But was it Near Death? Like, yeah, I love that the keys on there are I love the keys and like that yeah, like I said, it's just super smooth, super jazzy. You can almost see it as like an R&B song, but Charles just stays in lane there, and it's just a fun, nice little that was a good pick. I think I really like that one.
Yeah, though the stumbles, like you said, are very noticeable, and like that's why I'm like I don't understand why that I gravitated to it because like when he gets into that second and third verse mainly, the end of
Mhm.
the second verse where he's like up the
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? That was kind of like I was like, all right, I'm gonna stay with it. And then the third where he goes, these spikes really hurt. I was like, yo, bro, where did that come from? Like, what are we doing? Like,
I told you about that. That's like what rappers do. We do like a cover up. They'd be like, "Yo, I messed up, but I'm gonna keep going." Like, cause think about it on Sonic versus Death Egg when he fucked up. Oh, hit another spike.
Yeah, but I think it's really smooth on that one though. For some reason, I like it on there. Like he
yeah,
almost made it part of the song. But yeah, for these on Side Chick, unfortunately, yeah, it just kind of took me out a little bit.
It makes sense. It's one of those things where I think with that song, he had more of a relaxed flow, so it kind of just takes you out of it. But at least you can forgive him on Death Egg because he's rapping with a beat that's a bit faster. So
Mhm.
and he has that intensity. This song, it's not supposed to have like that intensity. It's supposed to be chill and
Right.
groovy, and then it's just like it really hurts. But I'm Ernie like Bert. It's like okay, all right, man. All right, man. So.
Yeah.
Um, let's get into some songs that missed the mark. Should we do one each, Mike, or should we still do two?
Um, let's just do one.
Okay.
Charles, I spared you. You're welcome. Nah, let me stop. Listen, I'm gonna get the phone. Listen, I'm gonna get the phone call. Y'all
You
not gonna
are.
get the phone call. I'm gonna get the phone call.
You are. He might call me. I'm a text message him, but that's fine. Um,
No, I
uh,
got you. We'll just do one. We'll do one each. So,
Les, you want to start us off?
Yeah, so John. So for me, the one I'm gonna say is gonna be When Sonic Closes His Eyes. I'm not sure how you guys felt about it, but I think it, the previous song would have been a better intro. And I don't know, the vocal sample doesn't really add much for me, and the while the rapping solid, the I don't know, it's just something about the song just doesn't really resonate. Like the guitar, like I like the other rock song, but this one, like it doesn't work for me. It's like it's too much.
Would you suggest? Would it be better if it moved it, or would you remove it? Which would you do? Would you move it in a different spot or remove it altogether?
I could possibly see moving it to a different spot because I just like I said, I don't think it works as well as an outro. But personally, just because it's a lot lower on there for me, I would remove it entirely. And I'm sure people feel differently about it, but for me, like it's just one that if you removed it, the tape would be stronger for it.
I like the hook and I like the beat. The verses are okay. I wish the audio quality was better. I think that would have bumped it up a little bit for me. It's not my worst, but it's one of those things where I can see where Les is coming from because I think when I first heard it, I was just like, yeah, nah, I'm good. But re-listening, I'm like, I like a little bit more. It's one of those things where since we're dealing with there's a story here, I'm assuming this either sounds like Charles either knows this is a dream, but either he can't wake up from the nightmare or he can't go to sleep because he knows what's about to come. You know what I mean? So like basically some sleep paralysis shit where it's like, damn, like I'm about to close my eyes and go to sleep and it has this like uh eerie negative feeling and he doesn't know what to do because there's bad shit, there's robotniks on the way and shit like that, but song's okay for me. It's okay. Sorry.
Yeah, it was on the lower end for me too. It was one of my choices. I think it is a placement issue for me. I think coming off of Death Egg, it's kind of like not even like a downer, but just like I was such on a high from that record that it's like this is just like okay. You know what I'm saying? It's just like it's here and it's just it doesn't reach the levels that it probably should. Um I think honestly, and I would consider this like kind of like a rock type of sound too as well, in my opinion. And I just think that none of the ones that were on here really made the mark for me. Um, and so like that might have been another issue for me, is just that none of those actually were in my top or like or were actually did a good job that I know he's done before in other tracks. So I can see why that's there. And since I just brought that up, I do want to just go ahead and do mine if you okay with that, Mike.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Um, and mine is, and I want to make sure I get this right. What is that? Oh yeah, it's a Sonic versus Mega Man one. I that one as soon as it came on, I was like, this isn't gonna work. I just it I think it just tried a little bit too hard to do the rock thing, and then this is one of the ones, and it's rare that this happens. I listened to it the full time the first time, and then when I was doing a couple subsequent reviews and listens, I got halfway through and I was like, I can't. I think that track is 5 minutes, 5:11 maybe, and I think that's just way too long for what he was trying to do, and that sound just isn't. And we already talked about it kind of briefly, but the audio quality isn't like the greatest on this thing. So yeah, that's just something that missed the mark for me.
So with that song, I said, because he was using the auto tune on it too, you know what I mean? And like it does have that rock, sound to it, that rock type of flavor, but it wasn't as heavy as I would say like Gothic Mathematician or whatever.
Cool.
So my notes I said, I don't know, it's okay, I guess, depends on how I feel that day. And I wasn't trying to rap on purpose, like rhyme. Well,
You
like
can't
I
help
think my
yourself.
yeah, but seriously, I wasn't trying to. It's one of those things where like I think when I first re-listened, I'm like, nah. My second re-listen, I'm like, oh, this is okay. This is okay. And then I listened to it today again, and I'm like, I don't know, man. Like, I think it just depends. Like, it's one of those things where like if I was to re-listen to this tape again, depending on how I felt, I might skip it. And then sometimes I might let it rock. So that's where I'm like, I'm pretty iffy on this song. Like, I just didn't really get too much from it.
I like that one. For me, that's like a it's funny, like yeah, the auto tune initially I was like, I know what you're doing, but like as it builds, like I just get more into it. Like that, I refuse to slow down. Like that part, like I don't know, something about it. It just works for me. So that track, I can see why y'all don't like it, but I think he like stays in his pocket vocally and like it kind of leans into the premise of the tape a little bit more too. So I enjoy that one. I usually like that one.
Okay.
All right. All right. So I guess no one else is going to pick this, so I guess I'm going to pick it. By the way, I had a conversation with Charles. Charles knows. He already knows that I'm picking this song.
Uh-huh.
Charles uses Spring and Ring, the 10th song, the second one. All right. Like we said earlier, the 8th and 10th song have the same name, but they are completely different songs.
Yep.
So Charles raps on a Pop Champagne beat, right? But
Hmm.
then later on in the background, you'll hear Oil Ocean, from Sonic 2.
Hmm.
So long story short, the beat has too much going on. I think what he was trying to do was just, incorporate, some of that newish at the time sound that was going on with Ron Brown was doing that. And then, putting, some of the Sega Genesis in there. And there's just too much sound going on where, we already talk about the audio quality not being great. And then you just hear it literally sounds like two sounds clashing. You know what I mean? Um, I think that beat technically can work together, but the way it was put together just doesn't sound right. Um, for me, the song probably could have been better if you either would have picked one or the other. Like if you're going to rap on Pop Champagne, just rap on Pop Champagne.
Hmm.
If you're going to do the Oil Ocean, beat, then do that and maybe put some different drums on it, something more simple, or clean up the audio. And it could have been a decent song because like I really tried to listen to the verses today. I'm like, the verses aren't that bad. You know what I mean? It's not like too like he wasn't saying anything like wild, but it's just too much going on with like I said, the two beats like fighting each other. And maybe that's something he was trying to do where it's like, oh, the two beats are fighting to see who wins. And if that's what he was doing, I think that's what harms Charles the most. Like he'll have certain ideas, and it's like on paper, I see the idea.
Yeah.
Sonically, no. But that's my choice.
I think like I said, that beat clash doesn't work. The hook was weak for me, and like, yeah, I wish you kind of maybe flipped out Oil Ocean a little bit more. But yeah, again, like the Pop Champagne, I definitely wasn't feeling that sound. And I was one of my notes I said in that respect is very Oil Ocean because I guess I never like Oil Ocean song. So I don't know, like this one, yeah, it just didn't really work for me, unfortunately.
Yeah. Shout out to us. We all picked the ones that I have in this category. But yeah, this is the other one I had on here. This is another example where like uh, if you're gonna name the same song twice, it probably means that one of them can be removed, and this is clearly the one. Um, Me and Mike have had this conversation on this podcast at least two or three times now of that sound that was back in the day. It
Mhm.
wasn't bad per se, but it has to be done a very specific way and probably by a specific person. Um, and trying to mix these two together isn't the greatest thing. I think I'm with everybody here. Just flip Oil Ocean. in your way. You've done this multiple times with different sonic beats. Just do it that way. I don't think it needed an additional sample that loud and that noticeable. Like hide a sample behind it. He's done that too, where like you're listening, you notice the sonic one first, but then you like listen a little bit closer and you notice the underlying sample. I think that would have worked better here over what he did. So yeah, I agree with everybody here. That's definitely it definitely missed the mark.
Real quick, one thing I will add is my thought process for number 8 and number 10 having the same name. Um, I'm gonna read it one more time for y'all, just so you know y'all get it. Actually, real quick, everyone in the comments, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Don't do that. No, but real quick, just so everyone actually does know, the name is Sonic uses a spring and ring power to go from Spring Yard Zone to Oil Ocean Zone, where he fights Cosmic Library Zone Act 2 boss BP Gasoline. So in my head, I'm like, all right, so that was number 8. And then number 9 is a different one. Then we go back to number 10. So I was thinking Charles did some Sonic Mania shit before Sonic Mania happened, where like he fought BP Gas in it, was done with that, went on to the next thing. Somehow the shit went back, and then he had to fight the boss again. But then he actually had the cognitive memory to be like, didn't I just do this? Like he went back in time, not on his own accord. You know what I mean? So I'm like, maybe that's something he was telling in the story. And then maybe that's something that had to do with Mega Man because he meets Mega Man. It's like, oh, this must be some Robotnik shit because I think this is Metal Sonic.
Mhm.
So that's me trying to like clean up the story for him a bit, but not really knowing. Coming up with my own headcanon, I guess you could say. So
Speaking of, now that we're here, do we have any guesses of what this story is trying to tell us? Like we said, this track list is one of the deepest ones that we've run across so far on this pod and probably in Charles' category, right? It's just these titles are long but they're meant to be in order and tell a story clearly. Did anyone get the feeling of the story being told through the music? I think that's really the most important part.
if we're talking about through the music, like if me just listening to the songs and then not knowing what the track listing was and then finding out what the tracks were, reading it, no, I can tell you right now, no, I did not get any type of like, story from it. Maybe some songs I did because of course he's using, sonic phrases and wording, but me just listening to the music, I'm just like, no. Like for example, in Sonic the Hamilton 1, he had his certain points of the story where he's like, okay, I woke up and my skin's blue and all that, whatever, which kind of helped with storytelling, you know what I mean? But there's nothing like that in here. Um, so at least in the first Sonic the Hamilton, it's like him saying, okay, um, is it really me? Am I really Sonic? What's really going on? I don't know. And then in here, me just going by the track listing, I'm like, all right, so he's still obviously dealing with being Sonic the Hamilton, but not really sure. Then he's actually like just I guess accepting it and fighting these bosses in his own way. But then near the end, like I said, with the last song, when he closes his eyes, it's still him being like, okay, maybe I really am, but maybe I'm really not. But I don't know. But this is just it's him just like divulging further deep into like either nightmares, psychosis, whatever. But
Mhm.
it's starting to seem like he really isn't able to handle it, especially with 8 and 10 being two different songs but the same names. You know what I mean? So the only thing I get, not from the songs, but from the track listing, he's just spiraling further down and not really understanding what's going on. But
Mm.
he's not being able to handle it the greatest. That's kind of what I got from it.
It's like what Mike's saying, like just listen to music. I'm not getting anything. I mean, obviously the track listings are trying to tell a story that is kind of tough for me to follow, but it seems like Mike, you're able to maybe to discern a little bit more there. But yeah, for me, like the music itself isn't necessarily, but maybe you could say like in the um in some of the techniques he's using, like a lot of auto tune. I wonder if he's trying to say something there with like maybe there's a Metal Sonic connection or something like that. But in general, I'd say no. I'm kind of lost. But I mean, I'm still digging it, even if I don't know what the hell's going on.
Yeah, I think so. I think that no, right? Like we all agree that no, through the music itself, we're not getting the story that he's trying to tell. And I think part of that is what Mike was saying. at least with Sonic the Hamilton, the first one, we got skits. Like even if they were brief, we got a little something. Even before songs, after songs, we were getting a little bit of something of him telling that story. Now the track lists weren't titled in a way that they are here, but each one kind of still kind of lets you know what you're gonna get into, and it kind of lets you take a peek of what we were gonna be talking about. Whereas this one, it's like he wants us to know something about these tracks, but we're not necessarily getting it via the music. And if it is, it's buried very much beneath the lyrics and understanding and comprehension of what we're supposed to be told. Um, I think that it doesn't necessarily have to be a story to enjoy the music, but when you have like a concept tape like the Sonic the Hamptons are, I think that's too big of an important part to be missing, if that makes sense.
I think it does. It definitely does. And that's one of the things where we know how Charles is, where like sometimes he likes to just go off and just make music. He just wants to make music, and sometimes it doesn't have to be a story. Or sometimes he does the Goosebumps approach. Oh, make your own story, make your own assumptions and whatnot. And that is always nice, but at the same time, it's like that's where you shoot yourself in the foot. It's like if you don't want there to be any wrong narrative or any miscommunication, don't make it a series. Don't, just name it something else or go about it a different way. But either way, it's one of those things where the creator can create however they want, the listener can listen however they want. Neither have to be wrong, you know what I mean? But it's one of those things where if you definitely want people to grasp and have some sort of particular idea that you want them to walk away with specifically, then you need to make that more clear in the music. You either say it with your skits, say it more obvious in your rhymes and your beats. Don't be so mysterious and cryptic, because you're not, the only thing you're hurting is yourself when it comes down to your bottom line. So
Yeah, I will say that is definitely a frustrating aspect about this tape is like looking at that that track list and everything, like, oh, okay, like this, looks interesting. You don't know what the hell's going on, but this looks interesting. And like when you don't, I can't really decipher that, or it's not really delved into more. That's a little bit of a letdown, but it is what it is. We just kind of roll with it and listen to tape is that's what we got.
Absolutely. I think we're ready to review. So we just listened to Sonic the Hamilton 2. I'm not saying that entire thing, so don't even.
all right, that's
Don't,
fine.
yeah, you can go and cancel that. We just the SDH2 HD, man, 2025. So we're all gonna rate it now. We're gonna give our pros and cons, our review, and our character rating. Should we let Les go first or last, Mike? That's actually a great question, I think.
We can let him. No. Actually, we'll let him go last. Let us go first.
Yep.
But one thing I do want to do, I'll go first, and then I want to make sure that we explain the actual rating system, just in case for newer Star Chasers and newer subscribers that don't know how the rating system goes.
Mhm.
All right, so I'm gonna break it down really easy. So starting from the top, there's supersonic, which means great tape, either perfect, near perfect, whatever you want to call it, but great tape. Then there's bass sonic, good tape. We have tails, underrated. You have knuckles, which is a bumpy ride. It has some hits, has some misses. Mecha Sonic 2, which is it's okay. There's probably more misses than hits. And also Mecha Sonic 2 also means like I might have heard better. And then there's Robotnik, which means tape's not for you. I don't like it. It does not mean this tape sucks. It's bad. It's donkey shit. Da, da, da. No, we don't talk like that here. It's either the tape's not for you. You personally didn't like it. That's fine. But that's how the rating system goes. All right. So here is my rating for this tape. From first listening to this tape back in like 2010, wasn't the biggest fan of it. Kind of a letdown, disappointed, like you guys said. Re-listening to this, there's more songs that I actually do like. Stick, you made a good point. There's a lot of really good beats on this project. Stuff that I think I just didn't listen to or give a chance because maybe I wasn't really enamored with how the audio sounded, you know. That was always throwing me off as much. Um, but that audio sometimes, certain songs it's worse than others, and it's not the worst, especially around this time period, but it's some of the audio isn't great. Some of the, mixing choices isn't great. Some of the songs where he's freestyling on or writing in his head, whatever you want to call it. I'm not the biggest fan of all of it. Singing wise, because we didn't talk about it too much. On some songs, let's say for oh, he grabs her because he rapped on Vanessa Carlton, the Thousand Mile song. He
Oh
was
yeah, I
singing,
did get to talk about that. Yeah.
yeah, he was singing on that song, right? And there were certain points where he was like, I'm not going to imitate it, but there's certain points where like he was like about to go over, and you can't hit that, you can't hit that one, bro. Don't. But he goes back down, he goes back down. So I'm like, all right, cool. So he didn't go overboard like how he kind of does in some of his newer music, But
Mhm.
it's certain songs like that where it's like, okay, bro, like that's not. I won't say it's a song you shouldn't sing on, but it's like, this is not maybe for this song. Um, but overall though, this tape, I probably maybe ragged on it a little bit or didn't give it a fair chance back then. Now I do like it a little bit more, but it is a bit of a bumpy ride. It has its ups and it has its downs. So I will give this tape a knuckles. There's more songs I like on here nowadays, but some of the glaring issues, they're still apparent. They're still there. So I'm gonna give this tape a knuckles.
All right. Yeah. Now that before I get my rating, I will say that's the most disappointing song, the Isle of Sheep, where he grabs her hand, because I'm just gonna say it, I love that Vanessa Carlton song. You can catch me singing that at your local bar if it pops on, and it is what it is. I don't care. But I wish he had done a better job with that. It's not like it's like, yeah, I'll put it in that missed the mark category. I guess I would though, because I wanted more from it. So I wish we had more time to talk about that. But yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. For me, I will say that if we had asked this back in 2010, this was easily getting a Robotnik. I'm gonna be honest with ourselves here. Um, but again, like we said, this is a great time. It's great to have this podcast because it makes you go back and check out these tapes. I will say it is definitely it has improved upon me. I do find tracks that I like a lot more today. Um, what I said, the beats are typically really good on this tape, despite some of the production mixing issues, maybe. Um, I will say that the raps aren't as um not cringe, but they're a lot better now what they thought they were originally. But this is also kind of when I started noticing that he was freestyling a lot more. And I will say, when he's freestyling and it doesn't sound like freestyling, the songs are good, and I do like that portion of it. Some of the cons I had, obviously we talked about it, sound quality. Um, it's not bad per se, but it's just there's a lot going on in some things, and there's that I think we talked about it a couple tapes ago with that static thing. It was in some of the songs, so there was a little bit of distraction there. And again, some of the freestyling, when it is freestyling and you can tell it wasn't the best. And then I just think for me, another big knock was just the fact that it's supposed to be a narrative, and it's not a narrative really that I can tell through the music. I know a lot of people have this as probably their favorite Sonic the Hamilton 2 or Sonic the Hamilton period. They say it's better than the first one. I'm not one of those people per se, but I will say it is definitely improved from when I first listened to it. So from a Robotnik to what I'm now giving it, which is a Knuckles, it is better than what I expected, but there are some misses and they're hard to overlook for someone like me. But it's definitely has some good stuff on there.
That's how you feeling, man.
Man, this was like I said, I still feel like this is a really tough tape for me to rate. I feel like honestly, any day kind of flip a coin. For me, it kind of lands between a knuckles and a tails, but just because I have to pick something, I'm gonna give it a tails. Um, I think when I originally listened to it, I probably would have leaned more on the knuckles side, but again, listening with ears now, where I'm trying not to necessarily like nitpick like every single like flub or whatever. Like I think generally like I like a lot more on this than I dislike, and even the tracks I dislike, I would say there's maybe only one strong, just like even the ones like I'm not really feeling like they're okay, they're just but like that Vanessa Carlton. I actually like that one a lot. Like I love how vulnerable like Chuck is on that. So like for me,
Yeah.
like there's just a lot of you're slept on or just like yeah, like I feel like almost every other track, like there's something I enjoy on here. So for me, it's a Tails. Like this is just a really good mixtape. Yeah, there's some flaws on here, and I think there might be a tiny bit of nostalgia kind of tinge in this, but like shit, like I said, production on here is like really good, and like when he's flowing, he's flowing. So I think I'm comfortable giving this a Tails.
I
Nice.
respect that. Number one, because you didn't feel like you had to go exactly what we did. You know what I mean? Because that's the one thing we don't want like Star Chasers doing, especially if they come on here. Oh, well, they rated this and I like this more than they do. It's like that's okay. We're supposed to have different opinions.
Yeah,
You're one of the people that have been commenting, on the actual episodes and saying your own rating, saying, hey, this is what I rated, this is what I like, this is what I don't like. So, respect for you for number one, just sticking to your ground and your guts, you know what I mean? Being like, oh, well, I do like this a little bit more. And that's where we don't crucify nobody for that. So shout out to you for doing that.
appreciate it.
Yeah, man. We yeah, that was good. That was good. Les, do you want to, kind of give people, your rundown of what you do or like, any social stuff you want to do before we head out?
Yeah, sure. So, like I said, longtime Star Chaser. Besides that, I write comics. So if you're into comics, feel free to find me online. I'm Let's Write pretty much everywhere online. Twitter, because I'm not going to call it X, just like Mike have that. Blue Sky, I'm also Let's Write. Instagram, I'm Less_Write of the person that got Let's Write. But I'm Let's Write pretty much everywhere. So it's LESWRITE, like less, and then writing. So yeah, find me online if you're into comics.
Yeah, you hear that stick? It's Les Right with a W.
So here's the thing, right? Funny.
No, no, no,
Uh,
no. Right, right. Which
no,
right you talking
I
about?
get it. I get it. So when I sent this invitation behind the scenes stuff, when I sent the invitation, the first thing I did was when I was talking to him, I actually forgot to put the W, but I wrote the W, so that wasn't the issue. The part I messed up with is I put less rights,
I was about to resend the
and I
emails.
was
Like I
like,
wonder if yeah.
yeah, I said he didn't get it. I looked at it again, I was like, oh shit, that's what I did. So all good.
Oh,
No
good.
harm, no foul. We made it.
Yep.
We just completed our first guest episode, man. So again, I can't thank you enough for
Oh yeah.
joining us and talking, Sonic Hamilton too, man. But let us know what you think about Sonic the Hamilton too. Where do you rank it as far as the Sonic the Hamiltons? What are your favorite tracks, and what do you think, Mr. Mark? You can let us know over on YouTube, Star Chase Central. You can also follow us on Twitter, Star CH Central. You can also follow us on our individual pages. I am Stick Around 54, STIK Around 54 on Twitter and Instagram. Mike, where can they find you, buddy?
On Instagram, the Mike Jackson, Mike Jackson. On Twitter, y'all heard what Les said. You already know. Mike D Jackson. That's Mike D Jackson. 1D, 2 E's. Holla at me. Make sure you guys are following Charles on Twitter at Charles Hamilton. Make sure you are subscribed to him on his YouTube channel, The Talented Mr. Hamilton. You never know when he's going to come out with a new song or a new live, so make sure you're subscribed. And please make sure, if you're not in tune yet, make sure you are checking out the blog, enterthehamilton.blogspot.com, where depending on when you see this, I got a shout out. And he posted one of my songs from like forever ago. So yeah, there it is.
Yeah. So that means Mike will be releasing his old mixtapes. You can be sure to check that out over on Star Chaser Central. We will have that there for you. It's gonna be fire. Look at the growth. Be sure to let us know what.
Pause. Hey, yo,
Yo,
pause.
that is
Look at
crazy.
the growth. Hey,
Yo,
We
yo.
got one. We got one.
yo. Let us know what you want us to listen to, man, next. And as you can see, man, we are not bullshitting around. We want to have guests. We want to talk to the Star Chasers, man. So, you know, hit us up. I know we asked y'all previously. Actually, I thought we cut y'all off. Mike, did we cut them off? I think we cut them off.
Nah, not exactly. But you over here talking about look at the growth. So I guess we're gonna be doing the binge 4 overdose with Charles
No,
and his boxers.
nah,
You try to see the growth, that's crazy.
that's crazy. That's
That's
wild.
crazy.
That's nuts. Pause. But yeah,
Yo, the growth and the
I just
nuts.
said
And then
pause. Yo, relax. But yeah, let us know what you want to listen to, man. Les, again, thank you. Appreciate you, man. Mike, do
Appreciate
we have
y'all.
anything for the people before we head out?
Some of the sentiments you said, y'all know the usual. Thank you guys for watching and listening to another episode. If you guys want to get on an episode, you see the proof is in the pudding. We have one right here, and we're trying to do more, so if you are interested, for real, serious inquiries only. Also, really important, happy Black History Month. I just realized, we black
Yeah,
people on here. So happy Black History Month.
that's
Oh,
right.
Hogan, we coming for you, Nick.
Oh man, that's fantastic. We are signing out of the Star Chase Central podcast, man. Where we always encourage you to follow your dreams.
And reach for the stars.
Chill, fam cheddar. Get ill, fam cheddar. As soon as the block start blacking, here come the precinct in the captain saying, chill, fam cheddar.